In just 22 days, I made over $100,000 using this exact same Facebook ad system that I'm about to show you. Look, running ads can be stressful and completely overwhelming, especially when you're just getting started, where you're sitting there second guessing every click, worrying about spending money that you can't afford to lose, and wondering if you'll ever figure it out. But if you just give me 20 minutes of your time, then by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to actually run Facebook ads in 2026 and make sales without wasting time or money in the wrong direction. But listen, before we even get into how you're gonna set up campaigns that drive sales, you need to understand what's actually changing in 2026. And the answer is simple. It's the customer. The way that they think, the way that they buy, that's the real shift. Look, people don't buy from polished, generic ads anymore. They're smarter than that. What's actually working in 2026 is content that feels real. That means ads that look and feel like TikToks or Instagram Reels that people are already watching every day. Maybe it's a quick story from a micro-influencer. Maybe it's a simple video of someone actually using a product showing what problem it solves. The point is, it doesn't feel like a commercial. It feels like content. So if your ads aren't blending in with the content that people are already scrolling through, then you're already behind and you're missing the way that people actually buy now, especially if you're not taking those styles of ads and bringing them over here to Facebook. But here's the good news. Once you have the right type of ads, targeting them to the ideal buyer in 2026 is now a lot easier than it used to be. A few years ago, everybody was teaching to stack a bunch of different interests for each ad. So for example, if you were selling a dog leash, the interest that you would target would be something like dog moms, pet owners, pet food buyers, etc. But in 2026, the best results are coming from broad, no interest campaigns. And what this means is that you literally leave that targeting box blank and just let Facebook's algorithm do its thing and go find the buyers for you. Why? Well, the answer is because Facebook's data pool is way deeper than yours. You might only be thinking of dog owners, but Facebook is already thinking of trainers, walkers, or even people looking up vets in their area. The point is, you're not limiting yourself. So when you put those two shifts together, content first ads plus broad targeting, that's what separates the campaigns that take off from the ones that are just wasting you money. But here's the thing. Even with content first ads and broad targeting, not every ad that you're gonna make is gonna be a hit. Some are going to flop, some are gonna get ignored, and only a few are actually gonna grab attention. This is why the very first step is creative testing. This is where you're testing multiple versions of your ad against each other, all testing different angles of the product. And this is also done with a small budget. So instead of sitting there wasting hundreds of dollars guessing, you let the numbers tell you which ads are actually worth spending money on. Let me go and show you exactly how to set up a creative test the right way, even if you're starting off with as little as $100. All right, so we're gonna be using this retro Game Boy as our example for this campaign. So it's going to start off with actually creating this campaign. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and click over here where it says create in my ads manager. Now from the campaign objectives, let's go ahead and select sales since we're focused on driving purchases. Then click continue and then make sure that you choose the manual sales campaign option before moving on. Now let's go ahead and give this campaign a name. I'm going to go ahead and call this one CT just to go ahead and highlight it for creative testing. Now moving into the ad set level, we're going to go and start off with the conversion settings. For performance goal, we're going to select maximum number of conversions. And then for the data set, we're going to select the pixel that's associated with the store. Next, we'll set the budget. We're going to go ahead and start off with $10 a day. So what that means is that I have 5 different ads that I'm testing, where each ad in here would have the opportunity to spend up to $10 a day. But the beautiful thing about creative testing is that it typically doesn't need to spend the full amount for you to find your winning ads. Now heading down to scheduling, you can actually go ahead and set the start date to midnight the next night. Now scroll down to audience options. Choose use original audience options and then add in the top 5 e-commerce locations that drive the most online purchases, which is going to be United States, United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. Now heading down to the age range, I'm going to change this from 18 to now 21 and up. I always like testing with 21 and up because this is the age group where most people start having a little bit more extra money to spend. Now that we got that inputted, let's head down to languages. And for this, we're just going to go ahead and keep it open to all. All right, now once you have all your budgets set up, now we're going to head over here to the ad level. On this ad level, this is where you're going to be adding the ads that you want to test, adding the ad copy, and where you want to direct the user to when they do click shop now. So to get that done, under ad setup, select create ad. For format, we're going to use single image or video, and then we're going to go ahead and turn off multi-advertiser ads for this one. Next, we want to scroll down, and then this is where you're going to add in your website URL. And here, you want to ensure that you're inputting the product page URL of your website, not the homepage, because you want customers landing directly on the product, not going on your website and just hunting around for it. Now I'm going to scroll down to Add Creative and select Set up the Creative, followed by clicking on Video Ad. Then we'll go ahead and click on Media and then upload our first video. Once that's in, that's when you're going to add in your text description, primary text, and headline. Here, I always suggest using a variation of what you see is already working on the market. You don't want to be overthinking it. Just take what you see, throw it in ChatGPT, and tell it to give you a stronger variation of it. Now, when that's done for the call to action, you're going to go ahead and select shop now. All right, so once you have that in, go ahead and click next and then done on the enhancement section. Now over on this side, you'll see a live preview of the ad where you can see the primary text at the top, the headline right underneath, and that shop now button. Everything that we just entered is laid out exactly how the customer is going to see it. Now that we have this in place, let's go ahead and scroll down to URL parameters, and here's how you're going to set this up. We're going to set campaign medium as the ad name, campaign name will be the campaign name, and campaign content will be the ad set name. And quick note on why this matters. These UTM tags stamp every click with the exact campaign, ad setup, and ad name. So when a sale does land on Shopify, you can still see which ad drove it, even if the ads manager doesn't show the purchase. Now that we have that set up, go ahead and click apply. Now let's go ahead and name this ad. Since this is our first one, I'm just going to go ahead and call it Creative 1. Next, we're going to go ahead and duplicate this ad set 4 times, giving us a total of 5 variations inside of this campaign. Now, with our budget being $10 on that first ad, this means it's now set to $50 since we have 5 ads in total now. So when you go ahead and duplicate, all your settings are going to carry over. Things like the budget, the audience, the placements, and the URL parameters. So you're not going to have to rebuild any of that. The only thing that's going to change here is the creative itself. And for each duplicate, you'll always want to upload a brand new ad to it. Then quickly double check that the primary text, headline, description, call to action, and URL parameters are all still correct and in unison. So you're going to want to continue to keep repeating this exact same process for every single creative that you're duplicating. This ultimately just keeps every ad identical in structure. So the only variable being tested is the video itself. That way you get clean results and you know exactly which creative is performing the best. So once your creative test is complete and the results start rolling in, you'll want to focus on these 3 key things. The first is having a lower cost per link click, which shows that you can bring high quality traffic at a cheap price. The second is lower cost per 1,000 impressions, which shows that your ads are appealing to the right audience. And third, and most importantly, is having any added carts or purchases, which is clear proof that not only are your ads working, but your product itself is something that customers actually want. Now listen, we'll get into more of these numbers and say what they mean in just a second. But for now, know that when you do see this in your creative test, that's when you know that it's time to scale up. And look, I know how overwhelming this part can feel. You've got creatives to test, data coming in, and you're never really sure if you're making the right calls. And look, I've been there, and that's exactly why I built my one-on-one mentorship. So beginners or even people who have experience and just want to see better results don't have to sit there and figure it all out on their own. So listen, if you're serious about getting this right the first time, the link is in the description and you can apply for one of the limited spots that we have available today. And I'll be transparent, there's not a lot of spots left. So I would apply as quickly as possible because you don't want to be the guy who asks for help and it ends up being too late. All right, so now that you know what kind of ads that you should be running and how to set up your creative test, let's take it a step further and look how to increase the budget on the winners so you can start turning small tests into real revenue. All right, so let's start by opening up the final result of the creative test and just take a look at the numbers. So as I scroll across, you can see the key numbers I was talking about. The reach, impressions, cost per click, click-through rate, all the metrics that we care about. And listen, don't worry, I will break down why all these are so important in a second. But for now, let's head over here to the right where we can see how much of our daily budget we actually spend per ad. And now, remember, we set a $10 a day limit on each one of these. And if you look here, you'll notice that some of these never even spent the full $10. Instead, they came in around $6 each. So even though the full test was capped at $50, we only ended up spending about $32 to get these results. You see, that's the beauty of creative testing. Facebook's not going to just force your budget out there if there's no good traffic to spend it on. With that being said, let's head over here to the CPM, which again stands for cost per 1,000 impressions. If we take a look, you can see that this first ad is sitting right around $15 cost per 1,000 impressions, which is crazy good. The second one is closer to $20, which is right in that sweet spot. The third one's hitting about $12, which is still solid. Really no problem there. The fourth one is sitting around $23. Again, pretty much fine. And then this last one is $20, which is great. Now, just to be clear, this isn't money that Facebook has already took from you. It's a projection. It's pretty much telling you, hey, if this ad reaches 1,000 impressions, here's what it would cost you. And the range I like to see here is typically between $20 and $30. That's where most ads sit if the market is healthy. I don't typically push it if it's over $35 because that shows that you're putting your ad in an unhealthy market. People are probably seeing all the same ads and they're not interested in that product overall. Now moving over to CTR, this is the click-through rate. All that means is that out of everyone who saw the ad, here's how many people actually cared enough to click. Anything over 2.5% here is strong. And as you can see, none of these are quite there yet, but you still can see that which ads are clearly pulling in more clicks than the others, which is directly telling me which creatives are connecting better even if they're not perfect. Next is your CPC or cost per click. Basically what you're paying for each person to land on your store. Next is CPLC, or cost per link click, which I just told you guys earlier. How much is costing for somebody to land on your store? Now, under $1 is where I like to keep it. And most of these are still staying in that range, which shows that we have some decent ads that are working. Now, the last one I'll point out here is cost per purchase. This is the number that tells you what it's costing to actually land a sale. But listen, that number doesn't mean much on its own, because you still have to compare it to your break-even point to know if you're actually making money or losing it. So here's the easy formula to figure that out. What you do is you just take your selling price and then you subtract your cost of goods and your shipping fees. And that number left over is your break-even cost per purchase. So for simple math, if you're selling a product for $30 and after shipping you're getting this product for $10, that means your break-even cost per purchase is going to be $20. And then once you understand that metric, if you're looking at Facebook and you see that it's spending less than what you got on a sale, well, then you're in profit. But if it's spending more, then you know at that moment that you're losing. Now, instead of doing that math every single time for every product, this is where Triple Whale comes in, as it pulls in your product cost and your ad spend automatically. And then shows you in real time if your ads are under break even or if they're generating real money. And I got you guys covered. I'll leave a link in the description for you guys to go ahead and try it out for free, so you can always keep track of your spend and your profits. So once you found your winning ads that are consistently pulling the results, it is now time to break them out into their own CBO, or campaign budget optimization campaign. What it does is it takes every winning ad from your creative tests and then places each one into your first CBO, setting it at $100 budget. And here you want to keep the targeting broad, just like how we set up the creative test. Select your top e-commerce countries only with no interest. And the budget is the only thing that you're changing here. This is the first of many CBOs that you'll be running. And that's the real shift in 2026. Instead of stacking everything into one campaign, you'll be focusing on multiple content-driven CBOs, each designed to stand on its own as long as it's profitable, where every new batch of ads that you create or pull from TikTok, you'll be testing in brand new CBO campaigns. You see, this approach makes it so easy to spot what's working and cut what's not, while building up more and more profitable campaigns that deliver real ROI. For example, you can see on my own ad account that I have 6 different CBO campaigns all running at the same time. Each one is testing different ads, angles, and no interest targeting. Some ads are driving to strong returns while others have already been cut. And here's the key. Once those underperforming ads are cut, the rest of that $100 budget automatically shifts towards those winners, letting them scale even faster. This is why running multiple campaigns like this is exactly how I was able to amplify my results, and why these same campaigns generated me over $100,000 in under 30 days. And once you got a few CBO campaigns that are already bringing the results, this is where you stop playing small with just $100 budgets. Now is the time to reinvest some of those profits and scale up by doubling down on what's working. That's where the Champion CBO campaign comes in. Your Champion CBO is going to be made up of all the best performing ads across all your CBO campaigns. Basically, it's your greatest hits all tested together in one campaign. But here's the key. You're not just shutting down the original CBO campaigns that those ads came from, because you never want to kill momentum. Instead, you're just going to simply add another campaign that's dedicated to your proven winners. And because you already know that these ads convert, this is the campaign where you can really push the budget and let your winners scale to their full potential. But I will say, you know I'm not going to tell you to do something without proving to you that it actually works. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So you can see right here on my own Champion campaign, I spent right around $1,179, which is a lot higher than the $100 to $500 budgets that I had running on the CBO campaigns that I was testing content in. And let me just say, I'm about to blow your mind, because this spend was done on the first day that I started running this campaign. Because again, it was filled with proven winning ads. And now, even though I spent that amount, if you see once I scroll over, you can see that this amount generated me back $2,200 in return, meaning that I spent $1,000 to make $1,000 back in profit. Who wouldn't do that? Now, let me go ahead into the actual campaign so that you can see that even in this Champion campaign, some ads are outperforming each other. I mean, even ad 29, 23, and 24 didn't even spend at all. But ad 6, 12, and 9, they definitely did, with ad 9 completely taken off. You can see ad 9 spent around $1,000 and brought in $2,000. But ad 6 only spent $160 to make $240 back. So this is the prime example of what I'm talking about of CBOs, where you can see it's really pushing the content towards the ads that are bringing in the highest result and allowing you to identify where to scale even faster without having to do any manual or extra work. You see, the most powerful thing about Facebook ads in 2026 is that once you understand the system, you can then just continue to keep running it again and again. Creative testing, no interest targeting, scaling with a Champion CBO, This entire process is always repeatable. That's why this video wasn't just about showing you one campaign that I ran. It's about giving you the blueprint that you can actually use to hit your first $100,000 and beyond. And if you want to see me execute this exact system even deeper, then make sure to go and check out my I Tried Dropshipping series, where I put this exact strategy to test in real time and broke down exactly what worked, what didn't, and how I scaled from just $100 to making over $100,000. Now remember, don't just sit on this information without taking action. You have to apply it. Start your first campaign and then begin building your own results. So as always, lock in. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is AC with Supreme Ecom, and I'm out.